The avoidant has offered friendship as a proposed path forward after ending the romantic relationship or after establishing that a romantic relationship cannot continue in its current form. They suggest you can still be friends, can still maintain connection without the romantic component, can transition from romantic partners to platonic friends in ways that preserve valuable aspects of your connection while eliminating romantic expectations or pressures that made the romantic relationship unsustainable for their defended position. This friendship offer feels confusing because it appears to value you and your connection while simultaneously rejecting the romantic relationship you wanted. It seems to offer continued presence in their life while establishing a clear limit on what that presence can include. It creates a situation where you must choose between accepting a friendship that feels like a consolation prize or refusing friendship and losing all contact with the person you care about deeply. The friendship offer also feels painful because it suggests you matter enough to them that they want to maintain some connection. Yet you do not matter enough that they want to invest in an actual romantic partnership with appropriate commitment and vulnerability. You struggle to interpret their true intentions behind the friendship offer. Do they genuinely value your presence enough that they want to maintain connection in a modified form? Do they need time to process before potentially returning to a romantic relationship? Do they truly see you as a friend they want in their life? Or does the friendship offer serve other purposes? They are not articulating this directly. The avoidant's true intentions behind the friendship often rarely match their stated reasons for proposing friendship because the avoidant is not fully conscious of what drives their need to maintain connection with you in friendship format rather than either committing to a romantic relationship or implementing a clean break. The hidden intentions behind the friendship offer serve the avoidance's defended needs rather than serving a genuine desire for a platonic friendship. They want to maintain access to specific benefits you provide without bearing the responsibility and accountability that a romantic relationship requires. They want to keep you available as a backup option while they explore whether better options exist. They want to manage their guilt about how their patterns harmed you by securing your acceptance of a continued connection that suggests you are not too damaged. They want to monitor your life and your moving on to manage their ego and potentially to interfere. If you begin moving on too successfully, they want to test whether you will accept their permanent undervaluation by accepting a friendship that positions you as not good enough for a romantic relationship, but acceptable for a lesser form of connection. Understanding these hidden intentions allows you to recognize that accepting the friendship offer typically serves their needs while harming yours. It allows you to see through their stated noble reasons about valuing your presence, to recognize the defended, self-serving motives that actually drive the friendship proposal. It allows you to make an informed decision about whether friendship with someone whose romantic patterns harmed you and whose friendship offer serves purposes they are hiding from you and likely from themselves is something that serves your healing and your forward movement, or something that keeps you trapped in a dynamic that continues to harm you in a new form disguised as friendship. They want to maintain access to you without relationship accountability. The avoidant has decided they cannot or will not provide what a romantic relationship requires. They cannot sustain consistent emotional availability, cannot commit to prioritizing you and the relationship adequately, cannot tolerate the intimacy and vulnerability that genuine partnership demands, cannot meet your legitimate needs for closeness and reliability and emotional engagement. Yet despite their inability or unwillingness to provide these romantic relationship requirements, they want to maintain access to specific benefits and functions you provide that serve their defended comfort and their practical needs. You provide emotional support when they are struggling that they find comforting and valuable. You offer understanding of their patterns that allows them to feel accepted despite their limitations. You give them attention and validation that serves their ego and their need to feel desired. You provide practical assistance or companionship that enhances their life quality. You serve as a sounding board who listens to their problems and affirms their perspective. These benefits and functions feel valuable to them, and they want to continue receiving them despite their unwillingness to provide what you need in return. The friendship offer allows them to maintain access to these benefits while eliminating the accountability and responsibility that a romantic relationship imposed. In a romantic relationship, their failure to provide emotional availability generated your legitimate complaints and your hurt that created discomfort for them and pressure to change. In friendship, they can continue receiving your emotional support while owing you nothing in terms of emotional availability, because friends do not have the same expectations of consistent emotional engagement that romantic partners reasonably expect. In a romantic relationship, their inability to commit and prioritize you adequately created relationship problems and your legitimate dissatisfaction. In friendship, they can continue receiving your attention and your time while owing you no commitment or prioritization, because friendship does not require the exclusivity or prioritization that romantic partnership requires. In a romantic relationship, their defended patterns created pain for you that generated their guilt and your request for change. In friendship, they can continue their defended patterns without these generating equivalent pain because you have adjusted your expectations downward to match friendship rather than romantic partnership. The asymmetry in what they want from friendship versus what they are willing to provide reveals the self-serving nature of their offer. They want you to continue providing the valuable functions you provided during the romantic relationship: your support, your understanding, your attention, your acceptance. Yet they are offering to provide only what feels comfortable for their defended position, which is significantly less than what they provided even during the inadequate romantic relationship. They want a friend who listens to their problems, yet they will not provide equivalent emotional availability to hear yours, because listening to your emotional struggles creates intimacy that exceeds their defended comfort. They want a friend who makes time for them when they need companionship, yet they will not reliably make time for you because reliability requires consistency. Their defended position resists. They want a friend who accepts their patterns without judgment, yet they will not provide you the acceptance and understanding you need as you process the pain their romantic patterns caused, because that processing would generate their discomfort and guilt. And the friendship offer particularly serves their need to maintain you as a resource they can access without bearing the costs that the romantic relationship imposed. During the romantic relationship, their patterns cost them your happiness, created your pain, generated complaints and pressure to change that disturbed their defended comfort. These costs made their defended patterns less sustainable because those patterns were harming you in ways that created relationship problems they could not entirely ignore. The friendship eliminates these costs by lowering your expectations. When they are unavailable or inconsistent or emotionally distant in a friendship context, this does not generate the same hurt or complaints because you have accepted that friendship does not include romantic expectations. They can continue their defended patterns while you adjust to accepting less rather than their having to provide more. The maintained access without accountability also allows them to feel good about themselves through continued connection with you. During the romantic relationship, they likely felt guilty about their inadequacy, uncomfortable about the pain their patterns caused you, defensive about their inability to meet your needs. The friendship offer eliminates much of this discomfort by securing your acceptance of a modified connection that suggests you value them enough to maintain a relationship despite their romantic inadequacy. Your acceptance of friendship tells them they were not so harmful that you refuse all contact, that you value their presence enough to accept less rather than having nothing, that they are an acceptable person despite their patterns causing the romantic relationship to fail. This ego protection serves their defended self-concept while doing nothing to serve your actual needs or healing. The true intention behind the friendship offer is maintaining access to what they want from you while eliminating what they do not want to provide to you. They want your continued presence serving their needs without bearing responsibility for meeting yours. They want the benefits of connection without the cost of commitment. They want to feel valued by you through your acceptance of friendship without having to adequately value you through providing what romantic partnership requires. The friendship is not a genuine, equal, mutual connection. It is a modified form of the same unbalanced dynamic where they receive more than they provide, where your needs remain secondary to theirs, where you continue accommodating their defended limitations while they continue providing minimal reciprocation, disguised now as friendship rather than recognized as inadequate romantic partnership. Friendship means keeping you available as a backup option while they explore others. The avoidant has determined that a romantic relationship with you is not what they want currently, yet they are not certain this determination is permanent or final. They face the possibility that future circumstances might make a romantic relationship with you feel more desirable. They might fail to find a better romantic option, might discover that being alone is less comfortable than they anticipated, might recognize after time a way that you provided valuable functions they cannot easily replace, might find that other potential partners do not accept their defended patterns as readily as you accepted them. Rather than implementing a clean break that would eliminate you as a future option, they propose friendship that maintains you in their orbit, keeps you accessible and aware of them, preserves the possibility of future romantic reconnection if circumstances shift to make that reconnection feel desirable to them. The friendship as backup strategy manifests through specific patterns in how they engage the friendship. They maintain enough contact to keep you aware of them and thinking about them, yet not enough contact to constitute an actual deep friendship. They reach out sporadically when they need something or when their defended isolation becomes uncomfortable, yet they are inconsistently available when you need support or connection. They share enough about their life to keep you informed and invested, yet they maintain strategic privacy about their romantic pursuits or potential new partners. They provide enough attention and warmth during interactions to keep you hopeful about potential future romantic reconnection, yet they establish clear boundaries when you attempt to deepen connection beyond comfortable friendship limits. This pattern keeps you engaged and available while preventing you from moving on completely. It maintains you in a holding pattern where you are not fully in a romantic relationship with them, yet you are not fully released from connection either. The backup positioning particularly serves them if they are actively exploring other romantic options. The friendship allows them to pursue new potential partners without fully losing you. If new pursuits work out, they have lost nothing by maintaining your friendship and can continue benefiting from your platonic presence. If new pursuits fail to provide what they hoped, you remain an available option. They can potentially return to you romantically without having to rebuild connection from zero. You serve as an insurance policy against their romantic exploration, failing to yield a better option. As a fallback, they can access if they discover that other potential partners are not a superior replacement for what you provided. The friendship also allows them to monitor whether you develop into a more attractive option over time. Perhaps they ended the romantic relationship because you had qualities or circumstances they found undesirable. You were too available and therefore not challenging enough. You had life circumstances that felt inconvenient. You displayed emotions they found overwhelming. You had needs that exceeded their defended capacity. The friendship allows them to observe whether these undesirable elements change, whether you become more challenging through building an independent life, whether your circumstances improve in ways that eliminate previous inconvenience, whether you develop better emotional regulation, whether your needs decrease through personal growth. If you develop in ways that make you a more attractive option, the maintained friendship connection allows them an easier path to romantic reconnection than would exist if they had implemented a clean break. The backup positioning relies on your accepting a modified connection that keeps you partially invested while they explore whether better options exist elsewhere. Your acceptance of friendship demonstrates you value connection with them enough to accept less than a romantic relationship, suggests you remain emotionally invested enough that future romantic reconnection would be possible if they decide they want it, proves you are willing to remain accessible while they determine whether you are the best available option or whether something better exists. This acceptance serves their optionality by keeping you available without requiring them to commit, allowing them to have you as a known option while they explore unknown options, maintaining you as a safe, familiar choice while they risk pursuing potentially better alternatives. The friendship offer as a backup strategy explains several confusing elements of how they engage friendship with you. They seem warmer and more engaged when they are between romantic pursuits or when romantic exploration is not going well. Yet they become more distant or less available when they are actively pursuing a new potential partner or when a new pursuit shows promise. They make comments or engage in behaviors that feel romantic or that suggest potential for romantic reconnection, yet they retreat or establish boundaries when you respond to these signals by expressing interest in romantic reconnection. They maintain enough connection to prevent your complete moving on, yet not enough connection to constitute them choosing you romantically. These contradictory patterns reflect their underlying intention to maintain you as an available option while they explore whether they want to choose you or whether a better option exists elsewhere. Understanding the friendship offer as a backup strategy allows you to recognize you are being positioned as Plan B rather than being valued as a friend worthy of genuine, equal friendship. The friendship is not about valuing your platonic presence. It is about maintaining you as a romantic option they can access if their current assessment that you are not a sufficient romantic partner changes based on their future circumstances or their failure to find a superior alternative. Accepting this friendship means accepting a position as a backup, agreeing to remain partially invested and available while they determine your worth relative to other options, consenting to being kept in a holding pattern that prevents your moving on while serving their need for optionality. The friendship offer is not a generous inclusion of you in a new form. It is a strategic positioning of you as an insurance policy and potential future option that serves their defended needs while preventing your healing and forward movement into relationships with people who choose you definitively rather than keeping you as a backup option. They use friendship to manage their guilt about how they treated you. The avoidance patterns during the romantic relationship caused you significant harm. Their withdrawal left you feeling abandoned and anxious. Their emotional unavailability left your intimacy needs chronically unmet. Their inconsistency created insecurity and confusion. Their inability to prioritize you adequately left you feeling unvalued. Their defended limitations prevented them from providing what you legitimately needed from a romantic partner. The avoidant possesses some awareness that their patterns harmed you, even if their defensive structure prevents them from fully facing the extent of that harm or taking full responsibility for their role in creating your pain. This awareness generates guilt that disturbs their defended comfort. They do not want to see themselves as a person who harms others, do not want to face that their patterns cause real damage to people who care about them, do not want to bear the full weight of responsibility for pain their defended limitations create in their intimate relationships. The friendship offer serves to manage and minimize this guilt through securing your acceptance of a continued connection that communicates forgiveness and suggests you were not harmed so severely that you refuse all contact with them. If you accept friendship, your acceptance tells them that you value them enough to maintain a relationship despite how they treated you romantically, that you do not hold their patterns against them severely enough to cut all ties, that the harm was not so profound that you need complete separation to heal. This acceptance allows them to feel better about themselves and their patterns. They were not so bad that you refuse friendship. Their patterns were not so harmful that you need complete distance. They are an acceptable person worth maintaining connection with despite their romantic inadequacy. Your acceptance provides absolution that reduces their guilt and allows them to maintain a more comfortable self-concept than would be possible if you refused all contact in ways that would communicate just how harmful their patterns were. The friendship also allows them to rewrite the narrative about the relationship and its ending in ways that minimize their accountability. During the romantic relationship, the narrative clearly identified their patterns as the problem, their withdrawal, their emotional unavailability, their inconsistency, their inability to commit adequately. This narrative generated discomfort because it positioned them as a person whose patterns harm others and cause relationship failures. The friendship offer allows them to shift the narrative toward mutual incompatibility or toward the relationship simply not working, rather than toward their patterns being the problem. If you accept friendship, this acceptance supports a revised narrative where the relationship ended not because they were an inadequate partner, but because the romantic relationship was not the right fit, while friendship is an appropriate level of connection. This revision eliminates their accountability by repositioning the relationship failure as a mismatch rather than as a consequence of their harmful defended patterns. The guilt management particularly operates through the avoidant seeking your emotional labor to make them feel better about how they treated you. In a friendship context, they want you to listen to their struggles, to provide understanding and validation, to accept their perspective on why the relationship ended, to confirm that you are okay and not damaged by what occurred. This emotional labor from you serves to assuage their guilt. If you are functional enough to provide them support and understanding, then they did not harm you too severely. If you accept their perspective on the relationship ending, then they were not entirely at fault. If you confirm you are okay, then they need not feel guilty about the pain their patterns caused. They are essentially asking you to manage their guilt for them by providing reassurance that minimizes the harm they caused and reduces their responsibility for that harm. The friendship offer also serves guilt management by allowing them to point to the continued connection as evidence they are not a bad person. They can tell themselves and others that they valued you enough to propose friendship, that they cared enough to want to maintain connection in a modified form, that they were thoughtful enough to offer a continued relationship rather than simply discarding you completely. The friendship offer allows them to frame themselves as a person who handles relationship endings maturely and caringly, rather than as a person whose defended patterns harm others, then discard those others when the romantic relationship becomes unsustainable. This reframing serves their self-concept while obscuring the reality that the friendship offer often serves their needs more than it serves yours. Understanding the friendship offer as a guilt management strategy allows you to recognize that accepting friendship often means taking on the emotional labor of absolving them for how they treated you, supporting a revised narrative that minimizes their accountability, providing reassurance that reduces their discomfort about the harm their patterns caused. Your acceptance of friendship communicates that the harm was tolerable enough that you will maintain connection, that you forgive them sufficiently to continue the relationship, that you value them enough to accept a modified connection despite their romantic inadequacy. All this serves to manage their guilt while doing nothing to serve your healing. In fact, accepting friendship that serves their guilt management actively harms your healing by preventing the clean break that would allow you to process fully what occurred without having to manage their emotional comfort about the harm they caused you. Friendship allows them to monitor your life and control your moving on. The avoidant has ended or significantly modified the romantic relationship, yet they remain invested in how you respond to this ending, in whether you move on successfully, in who you might become involved with after them, in whether you thrive or struggle in their absence. This investment does not reflect ongoing romantic feelings or a recognition that they made a mistake in ending the relationship. Rather, it reflects their ego needs and their defended psychology that requires them to monitor your post-relationship life, to manage their self-concept, and to maintain a sense of control over your moving on process. They need to know you still think about them, still care about them, still consider them significant enough that losing them affected you meaningfully. They need to ensure you are not moving on too quickly or too successfully in ways that would suggest they were easily replaceable, or that their presence in your life was not as important as their ego requires believing. They need to maintain some influence over your healing and moving on to protect themselves from facing that you can thrive without them in ways that would challenge their sense of their own importance. The friendship provides a perfect surveillance position from which they can monitor your life, your emotional state, your romantic pursuits, your healing progress. In a friendship context, they have access to information about your life through direct conversation, through your social media that you have not blocked because you are friends, through mutual friends who share information freely because you maintain a friendly connection. They can observe whether you are struggling or thriving, whether you remain emotionally invested in them or have genuinely moved on, whether you are dating others or remain single, whether you post content suggesting happiness or content suggesting ongoing processing of loss. This surveillance allows them to track your moving on in ways that a clean break would prevent. If you implemented no contact and blocked them completely, they would have no access to information about your post-relationship life and would have to tolerate uncertainty about whether you moved on successfully. The monitoring particularly serves their ego by allowing them to confirm you have not moved on too quickly or too successfully. The avoidance ego requires believing they were significant to you, that losing them affected you meaningfully, that you cannot simply replace them easily with someone new. If you move on quickly, if you appear happy shortly after the relationship ends, if you become involved with someone new who seems to make you happier than they made you, these observations threaten their ego by suggesting they were more replaceable than they need to believe. The friendship monitoring allows them to track your moving on and to feel reassured when they observe you still struggling, still thinking about them, still affected by the loss in ways that confirm their significance to you. The friendship also provides them a position from which they can actively interfere with or sabotage your moving on if they observe you moving forward too successfully. They can reach out with increased warmth or romantic undertones when they notice you beginning to emotionally distance, reactivating your feelings and your hope when those feelings were beginning to fade. They can share information about their own struggles or vulnerabilities when they observe you building an independent life, pulling your attention and emotional energy back toward them when you are successfully redirecting those toward your own healing. They can express jealousy or hurt when they discover you are dating someone new, creating guilt or confusion that interferes with your capacity to invest in a new connection. They can provide strategic breadcrumbs of attention or affection when they sense you are genuinely moving on, keeping you partially attached when you are approaching freedom.